So a very good morning, student. Once again, welcome you all for the online lecture series on remote sensing and GIS. So I welcome you all for the lecture two. This will be the continuation part of the lecture one. Okay, that is overview and introduction of remote sensing and GIS. So in previous lecture, let's have a recap what we have covered till now. So this was the content of the lecture of this overview and introduction part. So we have now covered what is an image, what is digital image, what is remote sensing, what is electromagnetic wavelength range, what are the different stages in remote sensing from space. Then we have also covered active versus passive remote sensing, different types of orbits and platforms. Now we have to cover the other aspect of the remote sensing, that what are the different application of remotely sensed image and what is the strength of the satellite remote sensing. So in this part we will basically covering application of remotely sensed image and the strength of the satellite remote sensing. Okay, now let's have look towards this content of this lecture. Now I will just skip other slides and will move to the main slide, that is application of remotely sensed application of remotely sensed images. Okay, now before starting this event, before starting this lecture, what I'm going to do is I am going to just off my camera so that you can have a better view on your entire large screen, and my PPT is visible to you all. If you have any query, you can write it to me directly in the comment box also, or also you can mail it to me on my personal mail ID, which I will provide you in the last of this lecture. Okay, and I have also provided in the previous lecture also. So now let's move toward the application of remotely sensed images, right? So this slide says that there are different types of application like site selection studies, natural resource management, earth and planetary exploration, environmental monitoring, change detection, defense related activities, urban and rural development and planning, crop yield forecasting, hazard zonation and disaster mitigation. So here are these are few examples. These are not the complete list where you can use remote sensing and GIS. The list is, uh, everlasting. You can use it in various, its application is in various fields. But here I have mentioned some of the important application. Those are the site selection studies, then natural resource management, then is your earth and planetary exploration, environmental monitoring, changes detection, defense, urban and rural development and planning, crop yield forecasting, hazard zonation and disaster mitigation. Okay, so here I will give you some overview, like if you want to do some site selection for your studies. So here you can see this is one of the example where we are using this remote sensing data to monitor or to build a new house or to build a new mall. For that you can definitely use remotely sensed data, right? Here what I am giving you an overview, that if you literally want to build a new house or you want to build a new mall, for that you can definitely use the remotely sensed data. Okay, this is what about the site selection study slide say. Okay, now the other application is your this one. This is very interesting application of remote sensing, where you can always find what is the path of your river. Okay, so polio channels identification actually is very important part of this application of remotely sensed images. If you want to find the path of your river, you can use the remotely sensed images. Other slide is about the environmental studies. So for environmental studies, you can always use this remote sensing data, or for natural hazard monitoring, you can use this temporal remote sensing data. So here you can see one of the example. This glacier is moving. Here you can see the glacier is moving, right? We can see here easily this glacier is moving at a constant rate, right? And it is you can see this area, it is moving slowly, right? So which has been captured through satellite over the years. Now you can always identify what is their direction and what is their mass, what is actually coming in this flow, so you can prepare for the hazard. So here you can see the glacier is moving, and the a certain area has been, displaced from its original location. So what we can identify, that what is their direction and what is the mass which is actually coming in this flow, so you can easily prepare for the hazard. Now the other applications are, if we move towards the next slide, the other application is for the national security. You can always monitor your border areas, or you can see the changes in the forest, whether there any forest encouragement or anything is happening. So in accessible areas and preparing the land use, land cover map. Okay, so this is also application of remotely sensed image. It is highly recommended for monitoring the national security. Moving towards the next slide. So how much your area is used for agriculture, and how much for residential purpose, and how much for shopping purpose. So those things you can easily find out using the satellite remote sensing data. Okay. So after this monitoring national security, you can always use this remotely sensed images for the agriculture purposes, and this can identify that how much residential purpose, and how much area is used for the shopping purpose. After this, flood hazard mapping. Okay, we can use, here we can see there are different zones which have been highlighted. So normal, very high, high and moderate and low. So these things you can always identify, or you can study using this satellite remote sensing. Okay, here you can see I have mentioned the areas as very low. Okay, then is your moderate, then is your high, then is your very high, then is your normal. So these things you can always identify, or you can study using these satellite remote sensing. Okay, so other applications are described in the next slide. I will move towards the next slide. That is river morphology. This is one of the actually very interesting problem, where you can always find how much step or how much this river has migrated from one place to another place, right? You can see here that how much there is migration of the river, yes, from 1988 to 2002, and this comes under actually river morphology, that how much displacement has been done in a certain year, and what is the shape of the river in comparison to the other year. Okay, so this is actually the application of remotely sensed images. Now the other application is the other application is in planetary exploration. Then for the planetary exploration, so I would say that remote sensing is the only available option or available technique to explore the planet. So here you can see some of the work which has been already published. Okay, which I am sharing with you, right? And this is basically one interesting thing which I am highlighting you about the Earth, Moon, and Mars, and how we are exploring this one. So basically, we have been using this remote sensing since very long now. We are successfully mapping this Mars, Moon, and Earth always in the picture, right? So this planetary part, this planetary exploration is actually being used from a long time, very long ago. We are successfully mapping this Mars, Moon, and Earth, right? So what I want to highlight is that this Earth, Moon, and Mars, and how we are exploring this one. Okay. Now, so these are the basically application of the remotely sensed images. Okay. Now moving towards the next slide. Next slide says about the strength of satellite remote sensing. So strength of the remote sensing data or satellite remote sensing data. Here you can have large aerial coverage where you can get only from space temporal images. That means how frequently you monitor an area, sensor sensitive to wavelength region, and that is the best one that I would recommend, and I would say our eyes are limited to visible range, whereas these sensors are capable of measuring the energy reflected, emitted, back-scattered energies in other wavelength region also. Okay, and access to inaccessible areas, then Earth and planetary exploration. So these are few strengths. There are many, but few strength of satellite remote sensing has been mentioned in this slide. There are many strength of the there are everlasting strength of the satellite remote sensing, which has not been mentioned in the satellite. This actually includes only large aerial coverage, the temporal images, sensors sensitive to wavelength region, access to the inaccessible areas, and Earth and planetary exploration. So this is about the strength of the satellite remote sensing. After this, the very important part of this entire video lecture will be your types of resolution, because this resolution, to understand, you have to understand this resolution in order to understand about the images and the quality of the images. Okay, so there are basically four different types of resolution: spatial, spectral, radiometric, and temporal, right? So here you can see I have mentioned spatial, spectral, radiometric, and temporal resolution of any data. Now I will describe you one by one. The first one is your temporal resolution. What is temporal resolution? The temporal resolution depends on the return time of the satellite, and return time is a function of the altitude at which the satellite is launched. Higher the altitude, more circumference of orbit, longer to orbit the Earth. With the ability to tilt the camera view, revisit capability can be increased. This can be explained in a particular way. In order to explain you, see, I have areas which has been captured at 5:30, 8:30, 11:30, and 4 p.m. respectively. Okay, so temporal resolution actually based on the return time of the satellite. And what is return time? Return time is a function of the altitude at which the satellite is launched, and higher the altitude, more circumference of orbit, longer to the orbit the Earth. With the ability to tilt the camera view, revisit capability can be increased. Okay, and in order to explain you, I have shared you on one of the examples that areas has been captured at 5:30, then 8:30, 11:30, and at 4 p.m. I will also show you one of the more example. Another example for temporal resolution where red color represents vegetation. Here red color represents the vegetation. So here in this case, for example, 17th January, you have more vegetation. Here still you have vegetation, color becomes dark, right? Your vegetation color becomes dark. Here again they are reducing, and then in these two cases vegetation is very less. Okay, see here the color is dark, and in these two cases the color is becoming less darker. So this actually color represents the vegetation. This color actually represents the vegetation, but in the two cases, the vegetation is very less. Now, in the next example, you have these annual changes. Annual changes में क्या है? Here you can see the year 1995, 1996, 1997, 1998, and 1999. Okay, so every year the same area has been monitored using the satellite data, and you can easily find out the vegetation changes, right? So this is about the temporal resolution. Here you can easily see that we have taken 1995, 1996, 1997, 1998, 1999. So in अगर हम सभी पिक्चर्स को क्लियरली देखें तो जो वेजिटेशन का एरिया है जो भी मॉनिटर किया है हमने सैटेलाइट डेटा से, वो उसमें हम हर ईयर में उसमें कुछ ना कुछ चेंजेस मिल रहे हैं, राइट? कुछ ना कुछ हमें चेंजेस मिल रहे हैं. इसीलिए मैंने आपको पहले बोला था कि टेम्पोरल रेजोल्यूशन एक्चुअली डिपेंड्स ऑन द रिटर्न टाइम ऑफ द सैटेलाइट. और रिटर्न टाइम क्या है? रिटर्न टाइम इज अ function of the altitude at which satellite is launched. Or higher will be the altitude, more circumference of orbit, longer to orbit the earth, with the ability to tilt a camera view, revisit capability can be increased. Okay, एक और एग्जाम्पल आपको दिखाता हूं. एक और एग्जाम्पल, I will show you one of the more example in my next slide. So this is another example. Okay, this is another example where you can see long-term change, right? Long-term change from 1972 to 2002, where in the same area there is a new lake, right? See, 1972 there is no lake, and for the same area we have the new lake in the 2002. So there is a comparison between 1972 and 2002, right? Now I will show you one of the more examples. अगर एक और एग्जाम्पल को हम देखें, these all comes under the temporal resolution, right? So another example, this was already shown you in one of the slide in river morphology part. Okay, so here you can see how this river is migrating from one place to another place, that you can always track when you have good temporal resolution of your satellite, right? So see this, ये क्या कर रहा है? रिवर मॉर्फोलॉजी को दिखाता है, मतलब रिवर में कैसे चेंजेस हो रहे हैं एक ईयर से दूसरे ईयर में, राइट? सो here you can see how this river is migrating from one place to another place, that you can always track where you have good temporal resolution of your satellite. ठीक है, अभी एक और एग्जाम्पल I will show you. This is another example of temporal data where we can monitor our clouds. Okay, so based on the basically we forecast our weather condition, whether cloud is moving towards our place or away from the place. You can see this. I have represented the data of the August 22nd at different times. Okay, 2 a.m., 6 a.m., 10 a.m., 4 p.m., then 8 p.m., and then 11 p.m. Right. So basically, we forecast our weather condition, whether cloud is moving towards our place or away from our place. So this is about the temporal resolution. Right. I have explained you about the temporal resolution with certain examples. Right. I guess this might be clear to you all that if we talk about the temporal resolution, this will actually depends on the return time of the satellite, and return time is a function of the altitude at which the satellite is launched, right? Now, other one is spectral resolution. So next one is your spectral resolution. So here in spectral resolution, it refers to the number and dimension of a specific wavelength interval in the electromagnetic spectrum to which our sensor is sensitive. So here you can understand, like if this is our wavelength is starting from 0.4, okay, see, I have shown you 0.4, then it's your 0.5, 0.6, and 0.7 micrometer, starting from 0.4 to 0.7 micrometer. Now, you have, if you have a sensor which can capture only this particular wavelength, right? So for this particular wavelength, what will happen? You will have an image for a given area. In the next one, you have another image for the same sensor can produce the two images for the same area, but they uses different wavelength region. Okay, तो ये हो गया आपका पहला wavelength, दूसरा, और ये हो गया third one. Okay, so what we can see so if we see that if we have to differentiate these images, so in the next one, this is the second one and this is the first one. This is the first one. Now second one will be something like this. So here is the second image. Now once you have his first image, second image generated from your satellite data, and this will be your third image, and this will be your third image. So another image you have, and this is the third one. So now you have just imagine for a normal camera, we always get only one image. But here, what I am telling you is for a given wavelength, you can have 3, 4, 10, or hundreds of images. So you have, so if your sensor is capable of resolving only 0.4 to 0.5 micrometer wavelength range, then they can generate one image for that area, the another set of detectors which are capable of resolving this 0.5 to 0.6 micrometer wavelength range, right? They can generate this second one and the third one likewise. So once you have this kind of information, then what will happen for this particular case is considered, these are there are three bands. So now I will always call them bands. In these three images, the first pixel of the lower bottom corner, right? The first one is your at lower bottom corner. See, lower bottom corner. This one is your first pixel. Sorry, this one is your first pixel, right? And so now, if you remember these pixels, they are nothing but the pixels. So these pixels are basically having some values, that is digital number. So if you extract those values from these three images, you can always plot these three values. This, for example, so they will look like this. In case if your sensor is capable of resolving more number of bands here or a smaller bandwidth, so here 0.4 to 0.411 image, 0.41 to 0.42 second image, and 0.4 to 0.43 will be the third image. And likewise, if you have several images, here what will happen? Your measurements or the values will increase. So now you will understand that what I was trying to show you in this spectral resolution part. Okay. Now, the second slide is see. Now see this slide. In this case, you have only 5 bands, then your data will look like this. Now, I hope you can understand this. And when you have 100 seconds of bands, then what will happen for one given area? You will have a number of values, then you can always generate a smoother spectra. because in this case, what is happening here, it is missing, but here what is happening is captured because the wavelength difference or the wavelength range for one band to another band is very less. So first band is 0.4 to 0.41, okay, and the second band is 0.41 to 0.42, where in this case you have 0.4 to 0.5. So that means this is actually low resolution. So this is called low spectral resolution. This is called high spectral. Uh, this is called your low spectral resolution. This is called your high spectral resolution. Here it is called your high spectral resolution, right? So this is your low spectral and this is your high spectral resolution. So here you have more information about that target. And remember, if you remember the previous slide, there we have mentioned that these are the places where things are happening. Okay, that is when we have trough, it means the things are happening. So we need to study their shape, size, and position to identify the material characteristic or composition. Now, uh, once again, I will move towards the next slide. This slide will be also about the spectral resolution only. So here a spectral band is defined defined in terms of central wavelength and bandwidth. So you always have a for example 0.4 to 0.5 micrometer, right? If you remember this wavelength range from 0.4 to 0.5 micrometer, and here in this range, but there will be a central wavelength that will be 0.45 micrometer. In the next bandwidth, so bandwidth is basically this one. This is your bandwidth. I will show you the bandwidth. This is your actually the bandwidth. Okay, this is your bandwidth. So in order to understand this spectral resolution, you need to understand what is central wavelength and bandwidth. The bandwidth is defined by a lower and an upper cut of wavelength, that is these values. Okay, upper cut and lower cut, these values, upper cut and lower cut, these values. Okay, and spectral resolution is lambda 2 to lambda 1, lambda 2 to lambda 1, right, which describes the wavelength interval in which the observation is made. So this is for one image. So we have used one sensor which is capable of resolving the energy only between 0.4 to 0.5, and that is generating an image, and that image further we will use for our application. And delta lambda is basically the full width at half maximum. So here you need to understand one thing, that what I am talking about. So here there is your spacecraft. Remember this. I am talking about the space-borne satellite, where where this is the platform. So this is the spacecraft. Here we may have several sensors attached here. Here we may have several sensors attached here, right? Now what I will do is, I can call it camera. So different camera are attached here, right? Then the selection of bandwidth is a trade-off between the energy to be collected and the spectra shape of the feature to be observed. So if your sensor is capturing this particular area and it is basically 0.4 to 0.5 this micrometer. So here you can see this 0.4 to 0.5 micrometer energy, which is coming from the surface, will reach to our sensor, and if it will reach to our sensor, that will be recorded. So, and then it will be generated the pixel values, and we will again understand in the next slide how this pixel have been generated. Okay, so this is about your spectral resolution, right? Now we have other resolution also, that is spatial resolution and panchromatic, multispectral, and hyperspectral resolution. So what I will do is that in order to not to make this video very lengthy, I will just take a break for this video, and we'll make one more continuation video of this, so that we can have more knowledge about this spatial resolution, because we have to cover some part only. We have to cover the spatial resolution and IOB part, and this overview and introduction part will be completed. So I guess you all are just enjoying this lecture series. In order to avoid the this lengthy part, so I am just taking a break in this lecture. I will be back with the part 3 of this same lecture. That will be the last part of this lecture 1. Okay, so I've divided into part 1, part 2, and part 3. So if you have any query related to this part 1 and part 2, you can directly write to me at ankur495@bit.ac.in. Okay, or you can have your questions in the comment box also. So I will be back with the third part of this lecture 1, probably tomorrow or day after tomorrow. So till now, enjoy this learning, enjoy this video, and have a nice day. Stay safe at your home. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.